What if I told you that how fast you're aging has almost nothing to do with how old you are? Most people start dealing with things like high blood pressure and cholesterol, weight gain, arthritis, chronic fatigue, and wrinkles, and they just shrug and say, well, that's life. I'm getting older. But what if none of those things have anything to do with your birthday? Your so-called aging symptoms are actually about something called your cumulative toxic load. And once you understand what that is, it changes everything. Because getting old sucks is the wrong narrative. Not taking care of yourself sucks. Your body has just been keeping score, and now it's handing you the receipt. So let's break it down. Here's something that'll challenge your beliefs. There are people in their hundreds finishing marathons. Fauja Singh completed his last competitive race at 101 years old. Meanwhile, there are 25-year-olds who can barely climb a flight of stairs without getting winded. Same planet, same number of years going by, wildly different outcomes. How is this possible? The answer lies in a 5,000-year-old healing system from India called Ayurveda. It directly translates to the science of life and can be considered the mother science of yoga. The whole philosophy can be summed up like this: tend to the soil and the garden will thrive. In Ayurveda, there are three main energies called doshas, and they govern all of nature, including the different stages of life. Childhood is governed by kapha, which is the energy of earth and water. Think about that for a minute. When you combine earth and water, you get mud or clay. Now think about clay bricks. They're heavy, solid, and literal building blocks. So it makes sense that kapha rules childhood, which is all about growth and building. The second is pitta, which is the energy of fire and water. It governs your metabolism, your ambition, your drive, and your intensity. That time of life when you're out in the world building your career, raising a family, grinding, and going hard, that is peak pitta energy. Pitta governs your active adult years from roughly puberty to around age 50. And then you enter the vata stage of life. Vata is the energy of air and space. Think wind. It governs all movement in the body, and when vata increases, you naturally get more dryness, stiffness, and anxiety. And you know what happens to dried out skin? It becomes thin, papery, and fragile. Now here's the thing. Entering the vata stage of life doesn't mean you're destined to fall apart. What determines how hard vata hits is how much toxic buildup your body has been accumulating throughout your entire life. Ayurveda calls this buildup ama, which translates to undigested residue. Think of it as sludge clogging your internal pipes. The more sludge, the faster everything breaks down. Research now shows that chronic low-grade inflammation, which is exactly what toxic buildup creates, is considered one of the biggest drivers of biological aging. Scientists even coined a term for it. They call it inflammaging. Cute name, ugly consequences. So where does all this toxic buildup actually land? Your liver. It's the master filter of your entire body, processing every chemical, pesticide, medication, and processed food ingredient you encounter. When the liver gets overwhelmed and can't keep up, the overflow shows up as things most people dismiss as just getting older. Dark circles, stubborn belly weight, age spots, skin tags, and constant aches and pains. Those are all signs your liver is raising a red flag. Studies show that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease now affects roughly 1 in 4 adults globally, and most of them have no idea they have it. We're talking about people who barely drink, eating what they think is normal food, developing a disease that used to only show up in heavy drinkers. A congested liver triggers a chain reaction. It creates hormone imbalances, thyroid dysfunction, and autoimmune flare-ups. Quick question for you. Have you ever had blood work come back normal, but you still feel terrible? Drop a comment and tell me your story, because you are definitely not alone. Now let's talk about the villain hiding in plain sight: glyphosate. This is the active ingredient in the most widely used herbicide on the planet. People who handle it professionally are required to wear long sleeves, long pants, closed-toed shoes, and in many cases, chemical-resistant gloves and protective eyewear. There are also restricted entry intervals after it's sprayed, meaning workers cannot enter treated areas for at least 4 hours, and if they do, they need coveralls and waterproof gloves. This is a chemical that comes with serious safety precautions, and yet it's sprayed directly on our food. It's used on over 70 different crops. We're talking wheat, oats, corn, beans, legumes, almonds, fruit, rice, and that's just scratching the surface. It's also sprayed right before harvest on many grain and legume crops to dry them out faster. It's even in tap water and sprayed on the grass at the parks where your kids and pets play. Research has detected it in the urine of over 80% of tested Americans. In 2015, the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer classified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic to humans. And a growing body of research now points to it as an endocrine disruptor, meaning it can interfere with your hormones, disrupting everything from thyroid function to reproductive health. Do you think it's a coincidence that so many people have difficulty conceiving these days? Here's what really gets me. The argument is always that it's safe in low doses when used as directed, but nobody is being exposed in low doses one time. You're getting micro exposures from your food, your water, the air, the grass, every single day for your entire life. That's cumulative toxic load in action. Studies have also linked glyphosate to gut microbiome destruction, which matters enormously because roughly 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. Thousands of years ago, Ayurveda figured out that all disease starts in your gut. It teaches that your digestive fire, known as Agni, is the foundation of all health. When Agni is strong, you efficiently break down food and eliminate toxins. When Agni is weak, your digestion stagnates, which means everything you eat turns into ama. And the more you gum up the works, the faster the system breaks down. Glyphosate doesn't just weaken your digestive fire. It actively poisons the entire ecosystem your digestion depends on. And once that ecosystem is compromised, your liver has to work overtime to compensate, which brings us right back to that toxic overload spiral. So what do most people do when aging symptoms start showing up? They reach for quick fixes. And this is where things go from bad to worse. Let's start with the latest weight loss drug everyone seems to be on right now. Ozempic and similar GLP-1 medications work by dramatically slowing your stomach's ability to empty. Sure, the weight comes off, but your entire well-being is designed around your digestive system's ability to move things through you efficiently. When food sits in your stomach for hours longer than it should, it ferments, it putrefies, and now you've just shut down your body's ability to eliminate the toxic waste. Reports of gastroparesis, a condition where the stomach essentially becomes partially paralyzed, have skyrocketed since these drugs went mainstream. And here's the irony for the diabetic patients these drugs were originally designed for. Type 2 diabetes is fundamentally a metabolic issue rooted in diet and lifestyle. Masking blood sugar numbers with a drug that destroys your digestive function doesn't even come close to fixing the underlying problem. It just trades one crisis for another. Muscle wasting, hair loss, and sunken facial features that people are now calling Ozempic face are all signs of a body being starved of proper nutrient absorption. From an Ayurvedic perspective, that's Vata running completely unchecked, which is literally the fastest path to premature aging. It's the same concept with hormone replacement therapy. Instead of asking why your hormones are out of balance in the first place, the approach is to override your entire endocrine system with synthetic hormones that your liver then has to process on top of everything else it's already struggling with. Then there's the cosmetic side. Botox works by paralyzing facial muscles, and research has shown for decades that muscles that don't move eventually atrophy. Long-term users often develop a thinner, more drawn appearance over time because the underlying muscle structure is actually shrinking. And then they have to start filling that empty space with fillers that are just as bad. Studies using MRI imaging found that fillers can migrate from the original injection site, linger for years longer than advertised, and trigger chronic low-grade inflammation. And here's something most people never even consider. Botox is a neurotoxin, and you're injecting it into your head. Research has shown that it can actually travel from the injection site into the central nervous system, and early studies are linking it to reduced cognitive function, including problems with reasoning and memory. And you know what's scarier? Long-term studies on what happens to your brain after decades of regular injections don't exist yet. Let that sink in. Meanwhile, Ayurveda has been teaching facial massage for thousands of years. All you need to do to keep your tissues plump and hydrated is apply some warm oil and use a gua sha tool or a face roller. This practice boosts circulation, stimulates lymphatic drainage, and naturally keeps facial muscles toned without a single needle. If you're loving this deep dive, hit those like and subscribe buttons. It genuinely helps us keep creating content that helps you thrive. Okay, now let's talk about the bigger pattern. Western medicine has a tendency to treat symptoms with medications that create new symptoms, which then get treated with more medications. And suddenly, you're on a plethora of prescriptions by age 50, wondering why you feel like you're 90. Here are some of the biggest offenders. Acid reflux gets suppressed with proton pump inhibitors, which research has linked to nutrient deficiencies, kidney issues, and increased dementia risk. You go to the doctor with high cholesterol, and instead of addressing your diet and lifestyle, you get handed a statin. Now you're dealing with muscle pain, joint aches, brain fog, and possible liver damage on top of the original problem. And antibiotics? They get handed out for everything, wiping out the gut flora you need for proper detoxification. Every single one of these drugs adds to your liver's workload. Meanwhile, your liver is over here trying to filter prescription chemicals, environmental toxins, food additives, and stress hormones all at the same time. No wonder it's overwhelmed. So with all of this stacked against us, is there actually a way out? You know there is, or I wouldn't be making this video. Ayurveda teaches that you can reverse aging symptoms by doing two things: reduce your toxic load and rebuild your digestive fire. And the beautiful thing is, none of this requires a prescription or a needle. The single most impactful change you can make is also the simplest. Start your morning with a glass of warm lemon water before you eat or drink anything else. That's it. This gently wakes up your liver and gets your digestive fire going first thing in the morning. Do that every day for 2 weeks and pay attention to how you feel. Most people notice a difference in their energy and digestion within the first few days. Once that becomes second nature, the next step is to rethink when you eat. Ayurveda teaches that your digestive fire is strongest in the middle of the day. That means eating your biggest meal at lunch and eating a dinner that's light and at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. This one shift alone takes a massive burden off your liver because then your body isn't trying to process a heavy meal while it should be detoxifying overnight. From there, it's about cleaning up the inputs. To reduce the glyphosate load, switch to organic. To reduce inflammation and support liver regeneration, start cooking with turmeric. And to calm vata, try a daily self-massage with warm sesame oil before your shower. This is an ancient Ayurvedic practice that keeps your skin and tissues supple, and it supports your lymphatic system in moving toxins out. None of this is flashy, none of it costs a fortune, and all of it works. Your age isn't your enemy, your toxic load is. Once you start cleaning house, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how fast those aging symptoms start to reverse. If you know someone who moans and groans about how much getting old sucks, send them this video right away. Remember, longevity isn't luck, it's a lifestyle. Until next time.